Davlarino.
Morning, sir.
Is it morning still? We've been gas bagging for a while, haven't we?
We have. It's been
about the best cars that we've seen in movies. My favourite one's the Dodge out of Wraith. If you don't know what that is, go check it out. That is a mint movie. It's absolutely bilge, but brilliant.
Yeah, so bad it's good.
Yeah, like old 70s mufti porn.
I won't insert any of that. We might get banned.
Right.
What are we up to?
Take a different look at a different engine. A different look at a different engine?
Yeah.
I trapped myself by my own sentence structure there. We'll take a look at an engine, but not out of a car. So let's smash through the intro, hit the buttons, and I'll see you on the other side.
Let's do it.
Oi oi.
Here we go.
You alright?
Yeah, all good, mate. How are you?
Yeah. Just because there's not enough broken stuff around here, we thought we'd take apart something else that's broken.
Which is?
This is the engine out of my BMW Superbike from last year that blew up at Cadwell, and it's been sat here for ages and ages and ages, and I need to fix it and get it sold. So I thought, why not take it apart and we'll show you what is different. Not what is different, because at the end of the day all they do is suck, squeeze, bang, blow, but we'll show you how a Superbike engine or a bike engine is quite a bit different to a car engine in how they package it all. Because you think that is a 1 litre engine and a gearbox and a clutch in that size.
It's crazy how small it is when you see
and
it like
you
that.
go and buy a car with a 1 litre engine in and it's mahoosive.
Yeah.
So this is a 2020 BMW S1000RR. I raced this for 2 seasons. This had 2,800 miles on it, I think. It had oil changes all the time. This thing drank 300V, as in because I changed it so much. These switch cams are a bloody pain in the ass on these. So it's got high-low cams. And these, you just have to mileage them because there's no balance shaft or anything on this engine. It vibrates a lot.
Yeah.
Like my bars used to buzz. So it was something Dan Cooper told me to do, which is to fill the bars with like lead shot.
Oh.
And it's something he did at the TT on his, just to take out the vibration in the bars. So they buzz, they're really vibey engines and vibey bikes. So these things crap themselves for fun. And when they do that, they put a low limiter on, so they go into limp mode and it won't rev over 7,000 RPM. Yeah, coils can be a problem, so we used to carry shift cams and coils because they're amazing. I loved it, but they're like delicate.
Yeah.
Italian electronics on German engineering. That is the best way to describe it.
That is a bizarre mix.
But it's a hell of a bike. It was a hell of a bike. I haven't got it now.
You haven't got the bike, but you've got the engine.
Yeah. So we'll just start
taking bits apart.
apart. The noise in the background is my heater. So if it gets too much, we can
switch it off and freeze.
Yeah, pretty much.
And our testicles off.
Testicle. So if you look down here, mate, you can see in the bottom of the cam orifice. Let me get my lightings. Does that help?
Come out a little bit, 'cause it's a little bit too bright. There we go.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. So basically, there's the top of the camshaft. When we get the head, when I get the rocker cover off, I'll show you better. And the cam has 2 lobes. It has a high-low and a low-lobe. Ideally, you want different cam profiles for different engine RPM areas. So they essentially run, same as like the old Hondas. Oh, there you go, that's a better way of showing it. Because that one's mid crossover, look, for the guide. You see that guide right in the bottom? So what happens is, it activates the switch solenoid, it drops a pin into that ramp, and then it pulls the cam over.
Okay.
And then it pulls the cam one way, and then when you drop back down out of the RPM, it swaps the pin. So there's 2 pins in the bottom there, look. So one pulls the cam one way, then it retracts that pin, pushes the other pin out, and it pulls the cam back the other way, and that's how it switches between high and low.
That's quite a trick.
Yeah, it is trick. So when they went, when British Superbike started running these, because they're control ECU on a MoTeC, the very, very first iterations, they had to retain the stock ECU just to do the cam switching.
Right.
Because the MoTeC ECU couldn't, because if you get it wrong, it'll everything will lit, valves and pistons will lit.
Yeah,
There'll be damage. So the very, very first bikes were retaining the stock ECU, or piggybacking the stock ECU to do the switch cam control. And then they kind of got it, after a bit of time, they got it working properly. But you can lock them in high as well. Some teams just locked them completely over and just left them in high mode.
Okay. So was this technology available on all of the bikes?
And
whatever?
No, this was a BMW thing. Some other bikes have it as well, but this is a BMW thing. Carlito! Got an address for me. Oh yeah.
I don't know where I'm going.
You don't know where you're going?
No.
Don't know where I'm going. Got your phone? Let me tell Carl where the local knocking shop is to go and cheer himself up, and I'll be right back. Is there a knocking shop in Swindon?
I would have no idea.
If you're from Swindon and you know, not that I want to know,
Be careful here.
just put yes.
So you're off to Spain.
I go on Monday.
You might see Matt Armstrong there.
What's he gone for?
I don't know. It's just
Oh, sorry. Yeah, of course. Sorry, mate.
Spanish channel.
I missed the joke then. Missed the joke.
So we popped that into the update video, the clip of his new channel. But it almost looked like we dubbed it and made it up. But that's how it is.
Yeah. Sí, por favor.
So who else is heading out to Spain? Whereabouts are you going?
I'm going Cartagena, and then it's just been invited by Paul from PCR. So it's just a bit of a track day really. So there's a group of mates go in. So yeah, should be good. Take the R6. I've got a new rear shock to try. I got the new RPS 40, which is Öhlins, but it's a through rod.
Right.
So I just want to see if I can sort of get a good feeling with the shock in the bike, because I'm staying on it next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, see if we can get a good feeling really, and just play around with the balance, see if we can get a good feeling with the balance. All year long, I've not struggled is the wrong word, but I've been unable to get the bike like super deep in a stroke.
Yeah.
So because I run Öhlins FKR kit on the front, they're 10mm longer, and I'm trying as hard as I can. I can't seem to get the bike to sit all the way down in a stroke. So the problem is when you go racing, you don't really want to spend your test day or, have a go at qualifying playing around with some major settings.
Yeah.
So what I want to try and do is go a lot lighter on the front spring, which I had tried earlier in the year and it didn't really do what I was hoping, but I think I'm going to try and open up my air gap as well. So yeah, just trying to, like anything, just try and improve the feeling with the bike really.
Yeah.
Chains out, guides out, head bolts out. Whacker.
Here she goes.
So even down to the nuts and bolts they use, everything's aluminium. Aluminium nuttings and bolting. Something like that either. Nothing feels nice, Davla.
Well, that's not good.
I'm going to force it. There's a little piece in a little lever point there.
Yeah.
But I can't get the starter out. So rather than force it, just in case there's a gear or a pin holding it in this end. So the bores, to be fair, look should. So that's the one that's gone, right?
That one.
And the reason I know that is because if you look at squish pads, they're all clean. Sorry, they're all dirty. And then these are clean. You see? So if you go...
Come down here, so...
if you go... Yeah, let me turn that. Yeah, clean. Dirty, so carbon buildup. And then clean. Right? So if I go to my cylinder head now, spin it around the face, yeah? I bet you the squish pads on this cylinder will be clean. Well, all right, they're different.
Yeah.
But you can see where they've been hitting.
Yeah.
So what's happened is, as the rod bearings have gone, the rod bearings have failed in that cylinder. So straight away now, before we even turn it upside down, we know which cylinder the rod bearings have failed in. And then what's happened is, because you've allowed, I don't know what they are stock, but you'd probably run a tight squish.
Yeah.
And then when you've lost that clearance with a rod bearing, it's let the piston hit the rock.
How did that manifest itself when you were riding it in anger?
It just started going grrrr,
Yeah.
and then I packed my van up and come home. So did you hear it?
Yep.
So two guide, these would be pin bolts. So we take these out. Yeah,
Yep.
they hold the guide. We do the same with this one. Right, we know we've got the sump off already. So, wow. I've found gold. See it?
Yep.
So that is literally it. So just lift the.
You've already removed
The clutch was out anyway because I had it. Yeah. So make sure you've turned your. Pull this out. Get the clutch basket out. So there's a clutch web in here. A crank web in here. So you just got to make sure you've got it turned.
Yeah.
So you can slide your clutch in and out, because your clutch engages on that gear on the crank wheel. Look.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then after that, then we can start taking the oil pump drive chain and the guide, and then that's all the selector mechanism for the gearbox.
Nice.
So what we do now is, I'll find a tool to undo that. We'll undo the generator cover, get the oil cooler off, and then essentially we can just flip it upside down and then undo all the bolts for the crankcase.
Yep.
It's a pain in the ass case to get off. This is because there's obviously a bloody great magnet holding it on.
Great magnet, lad.
So whereas we run an alternator, which is normally driven by your auxiliary belt,
Yeah.
this uses a generator. Been drained for a year. How is there still oil coming out? Bloody hell.
There we go.
Like that. So you've literally got wind-ins and then the stator on the end of the crank. That's a Ferrari.
That is a Ferrari. Let's have a quick look at that.
oil pump guide, the gear. Yeah, so that's the oil pump drive gear, and that engages in the back of the clutch. So you have to make sure you get that engaged.
Yeah.
Then you've got the center shaft, and then the back needle roller bearing for the clutch. Yeah. So what you'll find with bike engines over car engines is there's a lot of spacers and thrust washers and that sort of thing that you've got to get in the right place, or you'll be in trouble.
Yeah.
So I've seen quite a few times where people have not got the clutch to engage on the oil pump drive right,
Yeah.
and then they've found themselves in trouble because you don't have it driving the you don't have it driving the oil pump.
Sure.
So yes,
And that is a bad day at the office.
that is a very bad day, mate. Righty ho ho. See if we can get that top cover off. So that's the starter
Take
drive.
off easily.
Pop the starter out. So it's just sat on an O-ring, so it's just a little bit
Bit of gentle persuasion.
fiddly. And sometimes it's just a bit of force. There you go, she's going. See? Like so.
There you go.
It's literally just sat on the O-ring. Right, if I pull off the oil filter, we'll pull off the oil cooler, because remember now, everything oil has touched is contaminated.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we've got to be super, super careful of now. Because we've had a bearing fail, it could be sat anywhere.
Do you want me to grab a bucket?
Oily! Yeah. Bloody just leaked it everywhere anyway. So for me, that oil cooler's junk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't take the risk with that.
It's a dirty business, isn't it?
Hate getting oily. Well, do you know what? I don't mind it when it's clean oil,
Yeah.
but when it's
Stinky.
grotty oil, I mean, you obviously get a bit of decay in the sump anyway, but can you see the flex? Can you see the metal off the bearing?
Yeah, that's
What about if we put it in the light, Dave?
That might help, eh?
Everything's oily.
Yeah.
There's flex in there.
Yeah. Take
I'm not
our word for it.
I'm not lying. Yeah. Well, what we'll do now is nothing should fall out.
Bit easier than flipping a V10.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no.
I don't like it.
I don't even know if we're allowed to show that anymore.
That
Crazy PC world we live in.
That were a program, lad.
That was a program.
Right, mate. I've got a funny feeling. It looks like a teeny tiny turbo. Teeny tiny turbo. Well, that's going to be junk. I can't see any swarf in it, but
You're not going to risk it.
not for a chocolate biscuit. Up through the scavenge, into the bottom of the oil pump, which is a joint, so it's oil and water pump.
Yep.
Then it comes out of the oil pump, yeah, and that's the main crossover feed. into the bottom of the sump then. So it's through the filter, back out of the filter, and then you can see the main drillings then for the pressure, and then that's distributed around the engine. Engine. I say nothing. Ooh. Right. So now we know this isn't going to bloody come out because you see the oil level moving. Look as I move the oil pump.
Yeah.
I need to get that puppy out, which is I'm sure that'll be screwed in to this. So we need to get that out first, then I can take the oil pump out.
Okay.
Let me find a tool. So the good thing about this is I can strip the oil pump and clean it. So providing there's no internal damage caused by debris, which I don't think there is, we should be good, mate. So
Ripper.
Now we have got output shaft, support bolts. So they're big bolts. So there's those four.
On there, yeah.
We've got a load of casing bolts along the back.
Yeah.
We've got some edge casing bolts here. And then we've got 3 main bolts here, but along the center, they're 4-bolt mains.
Right.
So it's quite a support in the case. So what we'll try and do is try and rip the case bolts out.
So the fact that these rev to such crazy RPMs, are these all built with forged internals and things from the factory? Or?
No, not really. They're just because it's such a short stroke engine. That's why you can get away with revving them.
Right. Okay.
So you try to make them as light as possible, and then
so you've got low inertia and everything else, and it's just.
But these don't rev as high as 600s. And then the Ducati revs stupidly high as well. It's also why things like, when you look at, say, the LFA.
The Lexus.
Why that, is that an 11? 12? Yeah, all 12s. Why that revs a V10 engine, why that revs completely different to the V10 out of the Hurricane and the R8, and why that revs completely different to, say, a Viper.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the architecture of the engine, Jesus, Rick, there, Tommy. That starts to dictate the bore and stroke starts to dictate the RPM you can do, and then your valve train dictates your RPM you can do.
Yeah. So you've got the new Gordon Murray T50, which is a V12.
Yeah.
And that revs to 12,000.
Yeah.
Which is insane.
We were when you were allowed to kind of do what you want with Supersport engines back in the day, back in the good old days.
Yep.
We were running them to, I can't remember exactly, but say the rev limit was 16,750.
Yeah.
And then they upped the rev limit to like 16.9, and we had really good engine reliability. And then just by pushing the engine on 200 RPM, we started eating rod bearings.
Right.
Eating them. And it's that extra 150, 200 RPM is huge.
That was the tipping point.
Yeah, it's massive. And this is why now, sort of chatting about, if people watch World Superbikes with Johnny Raysby struggling, I didn't knock them two, and the bike's not good enough. The bike isn't good enough. There's no development path for Kawasaki, whereas Yamaha and Ducati have got direct links. Both those factory teams have direct links with MotoGP team, so it's rolling downhill, whereas Kawasaki don't have that.
Yeah.
So Johnny was dominant for years and years because he was the best rider. I think the only rider better on the grid now is Toprak.
Is who? Sorry, I missed that.
Toprak.
Yeah.
On the, well, he was Yamaha, he's now BMW. But the bikes have been shit. And all they've done is they've given them back RPM. Well, that's no good, because you took away the RPM, so the factory have gone away and developed an engine to work within the framework you've given them.
Yeah.
So you can't just turn around and go, well, rev it harder. It doesn't work like that. You know?
Yeah.
Like when we sit on a dyno and I'll try to rev a car to the red line, I don't make peak power at red line. I've lost power by then.
Yeah.
Because the engine's working within a window. Just because you make the window bigger for the rules doesn't mean you make any engine better.
Sure.
And that's what people don't understand. Oh yeah, but Johnny's got an extra 250 RPM and Toprak's got an extra RPM. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
You can't just rev something harder. The whole framework, it changes everything. And that's what people miss. So this year now, you know, that Ducati is laughable. It's laughable. Don't get me wrong, Alvaro can pedal a bike, but he's not better than Johnny and Toprak. The race at Portimao was a joke. Toprak was out of shape every corner, and Alvaro rode round him on the last corner of the last lap, on the outside, and just powered past him. Right, so all I've basically done is lifted it off the engine stand onto this, because I need to split the casing, so I had my engine stand on the top and bottom bolts. So now, in theory, this should split. I say theory. Oh, she's going. There she blows, Dabbler.
Nice.
So there are lever points to use. Don't go using the mating faces, because that will make baby Jesus cry.
I always find this really satisfying, seeing things like this come apart.
There you go. Stuck on me bloody down.
Go.
Right. So my mains look bloody good. Not a mark on them. Bit of scuffing, but bearing in mind it's been a race bike all its life.
Yeah.
That is what we was looking for, Dabbler.
There we go.
That is a bollocks bearing.
That's a technical term.
That is a technical term, mate. Now, a few things cause this. My honest opinion as to why this has happened, based on what I've watched on my bike this year, is my R6 takes 2.3 litres of oil. That takes 4.5, and my R6 takes a long time to get the oil temp up.
Right.
Right. So, which is why this year I've been very, very, very anal about warming the sump with an electric heater before I start the bike up, and it's lasted really well. It takes 4.5 litres, no oil temp warning or oil temp gauge on the dash.
Right.
So I will say a lot of that is this is probably down to me, and the reason why you hear so many race bikes failing doing rod bolts is because the oil temp is not hot when people start racing.
Okay.
40-50 degree oil temp isn't good enough. It's not good enough. So just because your coolant is 90 degrees, it takes a lot longer, and I've seen it on the dash as well, where we've warmed it up, got red flags, forgot to warm it before we've gone out, and I've gone out with the garage and the coolant temp's at 90 degrees and my oil temp's at 40-50 degrees.
Nice.
And I've had to get on it and go in a race So that's what I think this is, because the oil is, you can see it, it's great, it's immaculate, there's nothing wrong with the oil. I think this is the engine has been used to its peak performance before the oil temp is fully hot.
Yeah,
it's just been hot.
Yeah.
I need some multi-splenerinos. Number one. That is how a bearing shell looks when it's had the shit kicked out of it.
Okay.
Because they're not Babbitt bearings.
Yeah.
It's basically got so hot, melted it, and kicked it out the side.
Is it knackered?
That is knackered. If I just push these down a minute.
So obviously this is the first time you've seen this, you've confirmed.
Yeah. I knew I'd done a rod bearing.
Yeah.
Because it was so we knew I'd done a rod bearing. It actually cut my weekend short. It was the first race. Well, I think it was qualifying on Saturday. So I come home. It was at Cadwell Park as well.
Just up the road then, not?
Yeah. So that was last year. And then Paul at PCR sorted us out then for the rest of the season. So we just had an engine off them.
So you just banged a new engine?
I just yeah.
So what's the price of these engines?
I don't know what they are brand new. I think they're 6-7 grand. So what I need to go away and do now is find. I need a crank, set of rods.
Yep.
As you can see, that one's starting to pick up already. Look, you see it?
Yeah.
So what we'll do now is I'm going to lift this crank out. Yeah, that one's starting to go as well. Can you see where it's starting to cavitate in the bottom, look?
Yeah. And that's purely because these have had a hard life, yeah?
Yeah.
There we go.
So,
right, let's have a look at that crank.
There you go. There's one crank versus another crank.
And then that monster there. That's the Murcielago?
Yeah.
B12. And this one.
Right, let's leave everything in order so we can see. Need to get a trunk sorted.
Yep.
Right, so the main bearings look mint. Not a mark on those. So this is all rotational related.
Yep.
So what we'll do here is we'll just pop these back in. And I'll put the caps back on. So these are cracked, they're called cracked caps. So they're not doweled.
Okay.
Can you see how it's all rough and...
Yeah.
So they're made like that. They're made with a weak spot in them, and then they're cracked by the manufacturer, because then the cap locates. So it's like breaking a piece of glass and putting it back together.
Yeah.
When you've got it right, it looks mint, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Same thing, really. So what I need to do now is I'll have a chat with Paul and see if they've got any old engine parts or any engine parts, and if not, then we'll have a chat with BMW and
see what crazy prices they want.
Yeah, so I need a set of rods, full set of bearings, and yeah, full set of bearings, full set of rods, gaskets, that sort of thing. But that is a good old job.
Yep. Did it properly.
Did do it properly. Right, if I pop. Yeah, so that's the output shaft.
Yep.
So how it works, look, is the selectors move on the drum. So they'll move back and forth.
Yep.
So the input shaft is there, that controls 2 gears and engages 2 gears. So it engages this gear, that gear.
Yep.
Right. The fixed gears, part of the shaft, are the ones that drive these, the 3 gears. And then what happens is the selector comes across and locks the gear to the shaft. So if you move it away, I can spin it. Yeah, selector pulls the gear across, and it's then locked in gear.
Sure.
They've got undercuts on them.
Yep.
So what happens is the gears are cut and the selectors are undercut. So can you see how the teeth on the dog is not straight?
Yep.
So when you're on power, all right, bad example. When you're on power, you can't really knock it out of gear.
Okay. Yeah.
And the same as when you're on your back torque, then
Yep.
you can't knock it out. If you notice this, that's a lot of free play.
Yep.
On a race gearbox, it'd be nowhere near that.
Right. Okay.
It'd literally be like that. Because that's a lot of back torque. So from acceleration to coming off the throttle
Yep.
to getting back on the throttle,
Yep.
that's a lot of
Yep.
slop and a lot of, we call it like, there's strategies inside the engine control on race bikes called anti-jerk,
Right.
which is especially when you're changing gear to stop that happening, because it upsets the bike. And remember, when you're right on the limit of the tyre, on the edge of grip, anything like that, any little hiccup can upset the bike. So yeah, that's the difference then between a road gearbox and a race gearbox. The dogs would be far more aggressive, and then they would be much tighter in fit.
Okay. Yeah.
To get the gear in. So that's how gearbox works.
Yeah.
So it's
Again,
two shafts.
tiny.
Input shaft, selector drum. If you come this side, look, Dav, I'll show you. So can you see the selector drum has got all different pathways on it?
Yep.
So when I roll, can you see it move?
Hold on a sec.
I just hold it up so it doesn't clash on the gear.
Again up. Yep.
Yeah, neutral. So we were in first then. Is it first, I think? Gear engaged. Neutral.
Yep.
That one's trying to engage at a minute. Look, the dogs are locking up. See, it goes in. Next one.
There we go.
Neutral, but the gears are dead on lock. Can you see?
Yep.
So I move it and it will fall in.
Yep. There you go.
Like that. Oh, I'm at the end of the shaft. I'm at the end of the gears. So go 6, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. Yeah, I think I'm neutral there. No, I've gone through neutral, so I've gone in first because that is neutral.
Yep.
That's neutral. And then on the end of the gearbox is this little star. Yeah, so that's the selector. So that's what you move with your foot. So it ratchets it round. And then that's just the detent then, that holds it. So at the minute I'm in neutral. So if I go here, that's first. If you look at that, right, so that's, my selector goes
there we go.
down into first.
Yep.
I think I went here. Yeah, that's neutral. Yeah.
Yep.
And it catches, like it says first. Yeah. It's neutral.
Yep.
So that's first. Bloody hell, Rick. Neutral. Second. Getting snagged now. I was doing it better with me bloody hands. Alright, let's get snagged.
Hold this bit.
Yeah, I don't think it's like it because it's basically trying to force the select fork out.
Yeah.
But that's essentially how it works. You select the lever, rocks this ratchet,
Yeah.
and then that's what, then the drum, this piece with all the keyways in, is what moves the forks. So you've got 3 forks, 6 gears, and the neutral. So that's what moves it back and forth. So what would, I mean, I can't see any, what you'd look for is damage on the dogs.
Yeah.
I can't see any damage on it. The shift forks don't look worn. We'll have to take it all apart anyway so I can clean it, because of course we've had a lot of swarf through it.
Yeah.
So we'll need like these O-rings, bearings, the end seals, rod bolts. So yeah, just need to make a list of bits, put a crank in it, put some rods in it, give it a refresh. If I show you, that's why I took the box out, because I wanted to.
Aha! How easy was that?
But now you can see the damage on the rod. You see how blued it is?
Yeah.
So I mean, that will be, yeah, it's junk. Pistons are tiny little things.
And compared to the pistons that we've taken out of, I don't know,
Other stuff.
an R8 V10 or stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Exactly. Give everything a good clean.
Yeah.
Should no damage. New set of rods, or new rod, new bearings. Job's a good one.
Happy days.
And that is it. And then obviously just run the casings through the wash.
Yeah.
So that's what cost me second in championship last year.
There you go. Hang on. So there we go.
That is it.
That was quick though, wasn't it?
Yeah, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Now you just got to clean everything, put it back together. Always the joys.
Yes.
So pretty much it. Gather some parts up, and then we can yeah, put it back together.
Cool.
But I didn't think it'd be that bad, to be fair. That's pretty horrific. That's the worst I've ever seen on a bike.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so. That one is.
Yeah.
Never seen one at the side like that.
Yeah. So there we go.
Get it repaired. Get it sold.
Well, a bit more bike content. I know a lot of people love
Yeah,
that.
so, which is why I think we were kind of keen, weren't we? Because it's bike content and engine. So
Yeah.
at least for the engine people, it shows what a bike. If you've never had a bike engine apart before,
Yeah, yeah.
what the inside of a bike engine looks like. But
I think just seeing the difference in size
Oh,
of those
huge.
cranks
Yeah,
is
yeah,
just
it's huge.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's huge. I do like the technology you can have in a bike engine.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Comments below.
You're
Yeah.
away next week, aren't you?
Well, I am away next week. I'm on a bike, so we'll try and do some Israel-esque captures of footage and stuff, so we can try and do a catch-up a bit. But yeah, I am away, so I don't know.
We'll still have vids to go up on Tuesday and
We
Friday.
will.
Though.
We'll
Yeah.
get stuff up. Just probably be a train wreck.
Nothing different there then.
No, I agree. So
Right.
smash buttons. Yeah, like and subscribe because it does help. It has been a massive help lately, and we will. Well, I'll see you next week.
See you later, bud.
Laters.